This is Let's Talk Tribe, the official Let's Go Tribe podcast, episode 108. I'm your host, Matt Lyons, and on this week's episode, Francisco Lindor has blue hair and some other important things about him, I guess. The bullpen could actually be good. Jason Kipnis is going to stick at second base. A bunch of free agents have signed deals not with the Indians. Should we be concerned about that? And Shane Bieber has struck out a lot of batters in the last year. Something else to talk about. Joining me for all that and more is none other than Mr. Merritt Rolfing. Merritt, how you doing?
You know, I was just thinking, besides the fact the Indians could have drafted Nolan Arenado instead of Jason Kipnis. No, wait, they couldn't have because he was drafted before. Never mind. My entire statement is moot. Anyway, I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. Wait, so the whole thing you were looking at before the show was just invalidated? That
I misread
they couldn't take Nolan Arenado?
Because you can't draft someone who was already drafted.
That's usually how it works. I mean, I'm not sure how the CBA works. It changes once in a while, but...
All right, adjustment. They could have had Steven Matz or don't want John Ryan Murphy, or don't want Alex Wilson, DJ LeMahieu or Patrick Corbin.
So yeah, they did pretty good with Kipnis. I'm all right with that. Or I guess Patrick Corbin wouldn't have been bad, but
yeah, well, you know, they already have some pitchers.
They didn't do too bad. I mean, they got Trace Thompson eventually anyway, right? So who cares?
Yeah,
that was the only real miss there, right?
Thompson, as he's known. Fayce is how you spell face when it comes to that nickname.
That's the worst nickname ever. Oh, it's kind of better. I mean,
no, he's a handsome boy. What are you talking about?
What would you call Trace Thompson as a nickname? Like
he just looks like an unfortunate Klay Thompson.
That's his nickname, the unfortunate Klay Thompson.
Who himself is an unfortunate-looking man. It's like a villain in a bad Disney movie.
Or a great Disney movie. They have the weirdest one.
I mean, what's the difference? There isn't one.
So the Indians this week, along with, I guess, everybody at this point, they're in spring training. And in the last couple of days, the Indians, I think Terry Francona has been talking to the media like every day. But today there seemed to be like a flurry of players talking to media, especially Francisco Lindor. He talked about a lot. He also has bright blue hair and large bulging biceps now. So
classic.
He's quickly taken the place of Yandy Diaz plus blue hair. I guess his hair technically is the most important thing about his offseason so far. It's the fact that he has a mild calf strain. He might not be back right away. And also, you know, maybe he's not focused on signing a long-term extension with the Indians. There is a lot going on with the Cleveland Indians as shortstop and best shortstop in the game by a long shot, one of the best players in baseball. Might not be with the Indians past 3 years. He also might be injured to start the year. So what do you make of just all of that, Merritt?
By a long shot?
By a long shot. Is there any other shortstop that's close? Manny Machado was not that close. Get out of here.
The guy on the Dodgers. The other one.
Corey Seager?
Yeah, he's really good. Oh, by the way, Kyle Seager. The Indians could have drafted him. He was drafted in the third round. So
well, he wasn't. That doesn't count.
The other Seager, you know, Corey's brother. Anyway, yes, Corey Seager. He's very good.
Is he Francis? Oh, I guess he is kind of good. He's not Francisco Lindor good
though. Yeah, well, he is, but you know, whatever. What's that's neither here nor there. You know, whatever. I forgot what everything else you said. The blue hair is pretty neat. Biceps. I think you're just not remembering Yandy Diaz because he's not in your face as much anymore. Because that boy's biceps were a poppin'. They were balloon shaped.
Well, obviously nobody is going to be Yandy Diaz biceps, but this is about as good as we got now.
Yeah, I know. What if he's getting... Ooh, that's a fun, stupid argument to have during the winter on bad sports talk radio. Is Francisco Lindor too muscular to play shortstop now? What if his defense suffers? Anyway, that's a good thing to talk about, right?
That's a conversation straight out of... I don't know, how far away would that be? Like even just 5 years, maybe I think people would have that stupid conversation?
They could still have it now. What do you mean? Look at this bicep. Damn, look at those guns, though. He's got to do something about that hair, because that's absurd. Not that I'm judging him for his hair or anything like that, but...
I think when the inevitable strike happens and baseball ends in 2021, he can have a great streaming career on Twitch or something with his blue hair.
I think he should go with green, a beautiful green, like the grass of the outfield or something like that. Or even better, he should just go full Dennis Rodman and get a small baseball diamond on his head. Yes, that's what we need. I would like Francisco Lindor to just go around the bend like that. Maintain his ability to be great at baseball, but, you know, be a little insane. That's what's missing
just
from
a
baseball.
Touch of insane. I think the blue hair is better than that silver Cisco look he had last.
I love that. Training. That was really good.
That was the worst. I think he said he did it on a bet or something, but
no, he shaved his head on a bet because his high school team or whatever went undefeated.
Right, but then he did the Cisco thing. I should know because I even interviewed him about it, but I can't remember why.
He likes style. That's why.
Clearly.
And
The
also,
platinum hair is the style. Yeah.
that made me think of that great hit song by Cisco. Yes, that's right. The other one that isn't the thong song, which whose name escapes me.
Go on, Merritt. What is it?
Oh, why? It's let me just sit here and
Go on.
think
Go
of
on,
it.
Merritt. Name the song. I've been out here typing in the background. Name that Cisco song.
Incomplete.
But besides his hair, I mean, he's also not going to be here. So how worried are we about the fact that Francisco Lindor is going to be injured? I think the thing I'm worried about the most is rushing him back, because Terry Francona, like
Sure.
a few days after the injury, immediately came out and said, "Oh, I think he'll be back sooner than the expectations." They were like, "No, he doesn't need to do that. No, stop it." Have you learned nothing from Lonnie Chisenhall, Michael Brantley, and a dozen pitchers?
Josh Donaldson also.
Josh
Different
Donaldson,
team, but similar injury.
I think that one was different. They wanted to get him back. Like, you got to at least get him back for the postseason.
Well, I mean, just as a player for most of 2017
I see what you're saying.
and also 18, he had a bad calf. So it's just one of those, it's one of those weird injuries that athletes suffer that we, as plebes who just sit around making podcasts with cats in their lap, do not suffer quite so much.
Hey, I get cramps once in a while in my legs, and those hurt a lot, Merritt, until I walk around a little bit.
I'll be sitting in a way where my cat is comfy and I can't move at all. And then I can't move, because what if the cat wakes up? It'll never fall back asleep. No, this is in real terms, this is a hideously gutting situation that they still shouldn't rush back from, because they're gonna. When was the last time they even had a winning record coming out of April? You know what I mean? I mean, I know the answer is like last year, 2 years ago, or something, but it was like they were still like 2 games over 500.
They're always just abysmal to start the year.
Yeah,
like,
they just fart through April. It's like, whatever, who cares? Carrasco's going to get bombed in his first start. Kluber will be fine. Bauer will throw a no hitter, and on we go. And the bullpen will or will not fart on a pillow or two. And we're 6. We'll see. We'll get to that in a bit. But like, for a team that doesn't have an offense right now, this sucks. Because it's also going to tax him. He won't be as good last year offensively, or this year, as he was last year. I don't think so anyway. I mean, not like he's going to be bad, but he'll probably be a 120 WRC plus kind of a guy instead of 135
garbage
or so.
Get him out.
Right, exactly. I mean, he'll still be the second or third best hitting shortstop in the game. But that's the issue with the Indians, is they don't need the second, a great hitting shortstop. They need a great hitter, because again, I did that stupid thing where I open up the depth chart and get upset. They have a lot of things riding on Jose Ramirez and Kipnis bouncing back, Jake Bauers being okay. I don't know. I'm pretty optimistic about Carlos Santana, because how can he not be? But like, I was thinking about the Jordan Luplow deal, and I don't know. I was trying to find positivity in it because of how many times that they've just kind of hoodwinked other teams by trading them. That
doesn't feel like a hoodwinking to you? It feels like one to me.
I can't tell or not. For Dante Mendoza, Eric Gonzalez, and because like they traded like the deal for Kluber was like old Ryan Ludwig, or the deal for Clevenger was Vinny Pastano. Jake Westbrook brought something back too, I think. But like, these are guys who were, I don't know. There's something.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be the outfield of Cleveland with Corey Kluber, but I feel like trading Eric Gonzalez for.
Yes, he will be. Sorry for the swearing, everyone.
Trading Eric Gonzalez for a league average hitting outfielder doesn't seem terrible. No, and you also got Max Moroff, who might be the shortstop on opening day, which, God, that's depressing. But
no, I know. It's just, I don't know. Again, it's the reality is that this is just the guy who is going to be one of the 2 cornerstones of the offense. Maybe he could be the keystone and Ramirez the cornerstone, because you can't have 2 cornerstones in a building. So they're like an arch, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So they're like an arch. The offense.
Now look at that visual going on.
Yeah. So
and now Francisco Lindor's hamstring is just like the wrecking ball that came in and knocked it all over.
Right. Exactly. It's all it's holding up now is scaffolding, and there's a big wind blowing off the planes.
But if you want some fun numbers, Pacoda released, their projections for standings. The Indians are projected to win 97 games, and the Twins are 16 games behind. Francisco Lindor, like, unless he's going to be a 16-win player, they could probably just let him sit till September and still win by like double digits.
Like, I think the Twins will be better than their projections suggest. I think they'll be like an 80-ish win team. They're just doing lots of little things around the margins, I think, to improve in places where they were garbage last year, as they continue to, delve deeper and deeper into the current era of baseball and shaking off the Terry Ryan era after 2 decades of success and then mediocrity. But I think they'll be better than that. The rest of the division's gonna be better. But the 97, I saw the 90. I was like 97. Good Christmas. And then the other
That's
good one,
second best team in baseball behind the Astros.
right? And then like there's other ones on there like the Red Sox falling back to like 91 wins, which
And the Cubs being like the Cubs are now 79 wins as of today, which
that
is
was
just
a fun
beautiful.
one. Yeah, ugh, that's quite. I mean, the thing
Which,
is,
by the way, what is his name? Ricketts? I can't think of his first name.
he's
But he said they're out of money. The poor guy.
Yeah,
The
he
owners.
can cram it.
The poor guy's just out of money, Merritt. He tried.
Poor guy.
He's just so broke. He's. I mean, they're valued at $2 billion, but forget that. They're broke.
Well, you had to close DNA Info after they all tried to unionize because I mean, these are
Can't have
big,
that.
Yeah, now we can't make any money by underpaying people. It's a damn shame. But, yeah, I mean, in the AL East, at least you get 19 wins for free by playing the Orioles, 17-19, because I assume they won't win any games. But that 79 was quite something.
It is, yeah. And why are they so terrible now? I don't follow them all that closely, but are they still not like mostly the same World Series team, but with worse pitching?
They are
maybe?
predominantly. That's the thing. I think a lot of people are looking at the pitching and just shaking their heads. When I look at it, I'm like, oof, I think that's gonna be really good because Quintana's got to bounce back from a 4.03 ERA. Lester will be who he is. I don't know. Hendricks is a weird wild card, and then they're gonna get Yu Darvish back at some point. I like Yu Darvish. I think he's really good, and their bullpen's really, really good too. Like that's one of the things that Theo Epstein was able to bring in was a lot of great blazing arms for the bullpen, as well as what is still a stacked lineup. So I don't know. It's very confusing that people are so sleepy on them. I think in 2019, Javier Baez will be like the third or fourth best hitter on that team. So that's saying something.
I feel like the perception of the Indians is what. Wait, I got this backwards. People perceive the Indians as being what the Cubs are, but the Indians are actually a really well-rounded team other than like a couple giant holes. But their pitching staff is so good that it could legitimately carry them in 97 games.
Right,
We'll talk about in a minute that even their bullpen could be better than we all think. And I mean, Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor, if those two are super good, that's at least part of your offense. And I think you mentioned it as kind of like a long shot thing, but Jason Kipnis bouncing back and Jake Bauers being pretty okay doesn't seem that far out of the question.
No, not at all. I mean,
and of course, outfield Corey Kluber, Jordan Luplow is going to be great too. So
sure. Well, I mean, I guess if we're talking about which one, because when he first came over from and came to the Indians, he wasn't that great. I'm talking about Kluber. He was a league average pitcher. I think he was exactly a 100 ERA plus if memory serves.
Oh no, 90... Luplow is going to be the equivalent of Cy Young Corey Kluber. That's what's going to happen.
Well, no, that'll be the next year. The next year he will nearly win. He'll play all 162 games. He'll have a 325 batting average, hit 38 home runs. A normal everyday. He'll lead the league in, I guess, weighted on base average, I suppose, because Kluber led the league in fielding independent pitching. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay with me.
Yeah, that's about even. I think if any trades end up to be that, I think it'll be Oscar Mercado from last year, because I still feel like he's like nobody's even talking about him now, but he's one that the Cardinals seem to really like, and maybe he can come over and explode out of nowhere with or somehow if he splits time with Leonis Martin or something. But he's still my dream of the next swindling, which by the way, if that happens again, that's what 3-4 trades. I guess Casey Blake for Carlos Santana wasn't this front office technically, but neither was Corey Kluber, but Chris Antonelli was here, I think.
I mean, it's all the same front
office. It was Shapiro, yeah, but still, that's like 4 or 5 of these just absolutely one-sided trades.
It's been the same front office since John Hart. I mean, it's just one guy retires and then his assistant takes over.
Yeah.
So,
or one guy just heads for Canada.
Same thing. He just says, "I'm done with this.
I want to use you in the word color. I'm out."
Because let's see, the Kluber trade, Carrasco he was a throw-in. Bauer trade, Clevenger trade. Bieber.
Bauer doesn't count. That was a legit trade, I think.
No, that was definitely. I mean, yeah, that was a.
No, that wasn't like a Vinny Pastano for Mike Clevenger. Everybody knew what everybody was in that trade.
Well, I guess. I mean, it was a nice deal because they got rid of the last year of what's his name, well, Shin-Soo.
Shin-Soo Choo. I love Shin-Soo Choo. How dare you?
Everyone loves Shin-Soo Choo.
He's still kicking, I think. He's on the Rangers.
Being old as hell, having an on-base percentage around 400 and not being able to run, throw, or hit. Whatever.
He gets on base. I still remember with that trade, I thought that the Reds got ripped off the most because they just gave away Didi Gregorius.
Yes.
Or no, I thought it was the Diamondbacks because I thought Didi was going to be really bad.
Oh, they did
turned out all right.
Well, but
Yeah.
he was
Oh
he was
yeah.
good for other people.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all.
That was
And
still a
now
dumb trade on their part
and now we all hate D.D. Gregorius
because he's on the Yankees.
for the victimization he's caused of the Indians so many times.
He's the worst. So who do you think is going to start at shortstop this year then for opening day? Is it going to be Max Maroff, Yu Chang? I don't know. Jose Ramirez, I don't think is going to do it. I think he's already said
No,
for sure he's not doing it. He's a third baseman. He doesn't want to bounce back and forth. But
I mean the depth chart is nothing right now. Obviously.
no. Let's go back to that depth chart, Merritt. Depth
Uh,
chart watch
I'm
2019.
back. I'm back. I mean
Depth chart Indians.
because that does list what's his name. That does list Chang as a backup, but obviously it'll probably be Maroff just for
Oh, Eric
service
Stamets.
time reasons, things like that. It'll be awful. Oh god, it'll be so bad. So anyway, here's the opening lineup for your Cleveland Indians on opening day. It'll be leadoff Santana leadoff, and then Martin Ramirez. Lord,
Santana.
no, Santana's leading off.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ramirez bats
Kipnis?
third. Kipnis bats fourth,
And
and
then
then
one of the
Lupo,
outfielders.
Naquin or Allen Perez. This takes a hard right turn.
And then Roberto Perez in the back there. Just rounding out
He's
the
batting
winners.
sixth. Yeah, I'm gonna reference back an article I wrote about 6 months ago, pointing out all the things he does as a great hitter, except for hitting. So I think that last part's gonna finally click this year.
I still
And
hold that he's a really smart base runner. He's not a good base runner. But
no,
like one of the first plays that I wrote about for Let's Go Tribe was like he went around the whole bases. I don't think anybody hit a ball, but he was just so smart about when he moved. And I still think that holds true for him. He's just so slow. So
interesting.
hilariously slow.
Counterpoint to that. Do you remember? I think it was in 2017 when he didn't get a hit for like the first like 2 months of the game.
Oh, he's abysmal, like and
Remember
everything
that?
else. But
And I was actually in Baltimore for his first hit of the season. It was in like
and then he tried
July.
to turn it into a double, and then he got thrown out.
So counterpoint.
He's a good base runner when he stops at a base and has to reset. So that still counts as hitting when you're trying to round second. So we won't count that one.
That's fair.
But
I do like him though. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an ugly lineup, and they'll have to figure it out. And isn't that a fun way to look at things?
Isn't that so fun?
Yeah.
It is at least. No, it's not fun. I'm not going to say that. I was going to say it's at least a little different than last year when it was just like the exact same team as 2017. So I guess there is some intrigue, at least, like seeing some position battles and not knowing what's going to happen where. I just wish the battles were with better players.
Right.
Not everybody hoping to catch lightning in a bottle. But I've also said before that I'm not completely against just letting young players do it instead of bringing in a bunch of mid-level veterans. Like you got Leonis Martin in center field. Let Jordan Luplow and whoever else in the outfield battle for it. And Tyler Naquin, who I keep forgetting exists somehow, but he's going to be out there doing something. So
I never forget about Tyler Naquin. He's going to learn how to hit one of these days. There were a couple the Fangraphs top 100 prospects that came out last week. I thought was surprisingly interesting, if only because of the presence of guys I hadn't really seen this high up on the list, and most of them will not help the Indians in 2018. Specifically, Nolan Jones being ranked Nolan Jones 65th overall. I mean, that's higher than I kind of thought he would be. But then Yu Chang at 103. I thought that was interesting. I don't know. I think he could actually make it. That's the kind of player where you wonder whether they're going to really try and baby his service time or not. He might need more time in AAA, but I mean, that's a guy who I think could spend a lot of time with the Indians, and that's the kind of player I'd like for the Indians to spend a lot of time with, if only because he's young, interesting, and could be good. Like his hit tool is pretty good and got a lot of weird power. You just can't, play the field. Kind of like an infield version of, I don't know, someone. But
now, do they keep him and Maroff long term?
No, I mean,
because I think the thinking when Chang was coming up all along was that he would be traded eventually because Francisco Lindor is there. But
right.
Maybe if he's not going to be there after 3 years, you keep him around. But
I mean, if the scuttlebutt as it is about Chang is that he can't play, defense.
I thought he was a good defender, isn't he?
Let me hit enter a bunch because when you type in Chang, it brings up change up a lot. Yu Chang. I can't type anything.
Yeah, I feel like he's a decent defender. His problem is just he hits power and nothing else. Like he can't get on base very well.
power though, and he's a viable defensive third baseman. Would be capable of moonlighting at short or second if Cleo needs him to be. So
Oh yeah,
he's a
so I guess it's just sort of like a utility
he's a
kind of thing going
versatile
on there.
bat first prospect who can play all over the place. Yeah, so he's just, I mean, the expectation is likely, just another Eric Gonzalez, but with the ceiling of I don't know something else.
With a ceiling of way more power. Like if you can just hit a home run once in a while and play some defense, I think it's good enough for a backup role.
Man, if I could just have that career as a real human being, my God, what do? I hit a home run every now and then, play some defense, pretty good.
Sit in the dugout, stuff.
Play 65, 70 games a year, but I'm here all the time, so I collect that Major League Baseball, that Major League check. They keep on signing me too, so I'm making like $2 million a year. It's great.
How do they know I'm here? I just keep stopping in, getting the check, leaving. It's good. It all works out. So the Indians bullpen, maybe it's not going to be terrible. Their new look this year is going to be Brad Hand as the closer. Terry Francona talked today that he thinks that, I'm not using his words, but to summarize it, like somebody else is going to pop up like Dan Otero did a couple years ago. Like he has faith that every year the bullpen is just so volatile. You get players who you think can be good, and then just hope some of them shoot off while the other ones decline. But Kyle Downing and Always the Jake actually called the Indians a top 5 unit, which is kind of interesting, I think. His whole basis for it was basically that everything went wrong last season. That can't happen again. Because Andrew Miller and Cody Allen were both terrible. Zach McAllister, they just weren't themselves, but Zach McAllister and Josh Tomlin were terrible in the bullpen. Adam Simper probably won't be that bad again. And then a big problem the bullpen has was fly balls, which for a bullpen, you can't really take those as the sample size is just too small to use that as anything as a judge over long periods of time. But the bullpen just gave up so many fly balls. I don't know if that's part of everybody hitting the ball up more or just dumb bad luck. But that, if you remember right, that beginning of last season was just abysmal with the bullpen. I don't think that'll happen again this year. And maybe if it doesn't, they are a top 5 bullpen. And Steamer projected them to the 18th, which is, I mean, I guess bullpens can go either way so quickly that maybe they're going to be wrong. And then they brought back Oliver Perez, who I think is really underrated. So I don't hate the idea that they might be a pretty decent bullpen. And maybe that's the reason the Indians haven't signed like Craig Kimbrell or somebody crazy. They already know they have enough to support their outstanding starting pitching.
In 2018, Dan Otero's home run per fly ball ratio was 31.6.
That's normal. That's fine. That's going to happen again. It's fine.
I don't know. That's just one of my favorite things.
I mean, Kyle Downing is right though. That can't happen again. That does not happen.
I mean, the year before it was 26.1. It's just his fly ball rate jumped 7%. That's why he went from being to God.
Right.
But I don't know. I remember the article. The one glaring omission here is that in years past, when I don't know, Dan Otero or Jeff Manship or Mark Zepchinski or whoever emerged out of seemingly nowhere, what was the common thread through all those things?
Mickey Callaway.
Bang. And so I'm not saying that it's over with. We're finished here because Mickey Callaway is gone. I'm just saying that Mickey Callaway is gone, and suddenly the bullpen fell into disrepair, to say the least, with his departure. And now that they've lost 2, all-star caliber, I wish there was an all-pro kind of a thing in baseball because saying you're an all-star doesn't mean shit. I don't know. I mean, Kyle is right that there is definitely some upside to the bullpen. There's in part because there's youth, and also because bullpens, as a writer for a website I used to write for, Steve Kinsella would often say, bullpens by nature are fickle. They ebb and flow, and unless you are really lucky in drafting or spend a ton of money, and even then, like a team like the Yankees, they're going to go through a swoon in like July where that entire bullpen just hits the skids. And everyone will complain and say, what's the point of any of this? But then it'll be fine, come whenever. The Royals bullpen didn't last forever. It was really good for, 2 years, I would say? 14, 15. And
that was about their World Series runs. It was all their bullpen and
it just kind of
obnoxious luck on offense.
Yeah, and it just kind of started, age and whatnot. But it's just the Indians were very lucky to have a couple of really, 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 really good pitchers in the bullpen who just weren't good bullpen guys, who were just good pitchers. So it is what it is. But you can certainly go the other route too, and that's where they're going now, which is throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks, and then ride that, and then hope that at least one or two of those guys is consistent with a guy like Hand, a guy like Perez, and hopefully a third guy emerges. Then suddenly you have that three-headed dragon that got them so far last time. But I don't know, the whole point of that article and the whole point of really any bullpen construction when you don't have those huge arms coming out of the farm system or the lots of money to spend on the free agent market. The whole point is just it's got to work out. Law averages. It's going to shake out, right? I mean, yeah, their ground ball rate's very good. It's not going to field the ground balls, and they're going to be their best defender for a month or more. Well, a month at least, so it's going to smell bad.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you can overstate. So listen, I love Josh Tomlin. I kind of like Zach McAllister, but they were terrible. So they've trimmed out like the two worst offenders in their bullpen last season. So that's got to go somewhere. I mean, Josh Tomlin was so bad everywhere he pitched, and Zach McAllister. If the Indians of all teams cut Zach McAllister in the middle of the year, he had to have a bad year because they've been so loyal to that guy, no matter how bad he's been everywhere he's pitched. And now, last year was just the final straw of they can't.
How many articles do you think you wrote about Zach McAllister finally figuring it out?
Probably fewer than you did.
I've written so many pieces about him.
I never thought he figured it out.
No,
listen, I liked him. I wanted to succeed. I thought he could be fun, but it was just fastball and nothing else. And then even when they caught up to that in the bullpen, it was no help for him.
I gotta put together like a book of writings from my time writing about the Indians over the last 7 years of just, I don't know how to title it, but just be about guys in the shitty pitchers who I thought had turned the corner. And then
there you go. There's your quote, just in impact font on the front of the book.
It would just be 400 pages long.
There's a whole section dedicated to Zach McAllister.
I do it constantly. Neil Ramirez. But you know what? Neil Ramirez actually does encapsulate Kyle's point perfectly. Because he did catch fire for a certain period of time that really did save the bullpen for a little while. And that is actually how bullpens are. Like, he will get shelled for a week or more. Like, he comes in and just throws meatballs up there, and they just crush him. And then all of a sudden, he's unhittable. His slider is biting I don't know, something that bites very much.
That was good, man. That was some wordplay, man. Thank you.
But he's locating the fastball perfectly, and then also getting a little bit lucky. I mean, that's the whole point of any of this stuff is fly balls have to go not over the fence, and ground balls have to go towards the defender rather than not towards the defender. A lot of that is also smarter and smarter defensive positioning, things like that. But I think Neil Ramirez doesn't actually encapsulate the point that I think Kyle was making in that article. Someone else. I mean, yeah, one of these guys is going to. I don't know why Francona kept on talking about what's his name Edwards so much because why.
Talk about Adam Simber. He's a submariner. That's fun to talk about.
Right. Like of all the guys to talk about, like a young guy who you have hope for, like that's the one to talk about. That's the one to look at and say, this kid's gonna, he's gonna figure it out and have a place on this team.
Look at this kid's goofy arm over here.
Yeah, he's got this weird wiggle arm. Come on, it's great. Not John Edwards, the name of a
NASCAR
the name of a former vice presidential candidate, NASCAR driver, and also almost the name of a disgraced medium. Remember John Edward? I do.
What? Oh, the guy who cold read people in the audience? Of course I do.
I'm hearing a name. Is it Jake, Jim, Joe? Jonathan, yes. Yes, Jonathan. He was your aunt?
He knew you. Yeah.
So anyway, that's I mean, I'm sure they'll be better than last year. But because God damn, it has to be.
I mean, they have to be.
Yeah. They have to be.
That's where you got to start. They have to be better.
That really was gutting. I mean, it's still upsetting they just went through an entire offseason and didn't do anything realistic to fix it because that is what I don't know. I can't remember who said it. I think maybe it was someone over at Waiting for Next Year. But that's how you kill an exciting season is a bad bullpen.
Yeah, that's I can't think of a worse because they always blow it at the end. There's no way they're not going to. If a bad offense.
It just leaves a bad and you can see dazzling pitching, and then also just bad taste in your mouth. And the season, and the game's over, and you're like, this sucks. And that'll happen once a week. Even in a win, they'll tightrope out of what was supposed to be a blowout, and you're like, this is ridiculous. And you
And I
just
remember
feel like,
last year there were multiple games a week where it was just decimating every time, and it was
yeah,
awful.
just anxiety,
Yeah.
anxiety inducing. So that I don't know. Hey, there's hope that Craig Kimbrell will be upset and sign for a reduced rate, like I don't know, someone like how they got Michael Bourne a couple years ago, and they'll turn into an albatross of a contract, and there you go.
But you didn't go with Edwin Encarnacion in that analogy there?
No,
That
because
was like the
he only got a little bit less money than he was looking for. Michael Bourne was looking for like $100 billion.
no Edwin was looking for like 130,000 or a million.
No, he wanted 80. He wanted 80 over 4. He got like 60 over 3 or whatever with an option.
Are you sure? I think it was that the Blue Jays offered him 480, and he
Oh,
wouldn't take
really?
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because he wanted like the 130, and then everybody laughed at him for getting way less.
Well, he
But
should
anyway.
have gotten
Which,
130.
by the way, can we talk about? Let's just skip right to the free agent things here, because the fact that Mike Moustakas is on another 1 year deal, while Eric Hosmer got a 8 year gazillion-dollar deal, is still hilarious to me in the most tragic way possible.
It is strange.
Eric Hosmer is so bad.
Who's running the Padres? I love how they're running it. They're trying to sign both Manny Machado and Bryce Harper. That is the stench of desperation. That's a man who gave away $100 and some odd million contract. All his prospects are failing, and now he's like,
Give me them.
Harper.
Get in here. I need them.
Like, it's hilarious. No, he's going to the owner. No, sir, it's fine. No, this is my plan all along. Clear the books and just have 3 huge contracts and prospects. Stars and scrubs works every time, sir. Don't look at the Astros. No.
Yeah, remember like 3 years ago when they signed Matt Kemp and Craig Kimbrell, and
yeah, that ruled.
It was really cool, but it was really awful. So, Mary, I'm going to read you 7 WAR totals over the last 7 years. This is nobody in particular. I just want you to just guess who this mysterious player is.
Sounds like Jason Kipnis to me.
So the first year was 1 WAR. Then it was negative 1.4, 3.1, negative 0.2, 3.5.
I know just who this is.
0.2, 4.1, negative 0.1. Now, Merritt, would you give this mystery player 8 years, $144 million? I sure would.
Well, here's the thing.
But listen, he scoops the ball really good.
Are so good, and he's a great clubhouse guy, and he's a winner. I mean, all right, I'll play another game. I'm going to read you some WAR totals, and then you tell me how many World Series this guy has won. Give me 1 minute. Okay, here we go. 10.5, 10.5, 9, 7.6, 9.4, 10.5. Jesus Christ. 6.7 in 114 games, 10.2. So, who's the better
failure? Michael Trout, who doesn't care about the game.
Exactly. Some other idiot with a clean-shaven face. Meanwhile, Eric Hosmer, beard. Also wears a blue hat sometimes.
Since this is turning into the Eric Hosmer shitting hour, I also want to note that. So the Fangraphs has the offense and defense numbers at the end that are cumulative. Just take a shot. So you know how Eric Hosmer, he's great at defense, Merritt. That's why he got that contract. Just guess what his total is.
Leadership and winning ability.
No, he scoops the ball really good.
And he's clutch.
I just want you to guess. What is his total defensive value over the last 7 years?
Negative.
It's cumulative.
Right. Negative 43.
Negative 117.5.
Yeah, but I mean, with positional adjustments and stuff. And,
I mean, he was a shortstop. That'd only be negative 110. So, I mean.
And he had to play next to a terrible shortstop of theirs for a while. He was their shortstop the year they lost the World Series.
Not Eric Hosmer, that's for sure.
All right. Also, let's refer back to the fact that they won the World Series. and how upsetting that continues to be, because fuck that team. It was, by the way, if you go to the picture for Lorenzo Cain on the 2015 Kansas City Royals pictures, they have all the pictures of guys on the team.
Yeah.
He just looks like it's like a painting from the 1950s. Everyone else is just a normal human being.
Oh, and Mary, don't forget, in 2014 when they went to the World Series, Eric Hosmer carried that team.
He did.
His negative 0.2 WAR and 98 WRC plus, they would not have made it without that.
He almost hit 300. Well, sort of. He hit 270. He hit 302 the year before and 297 the year after. That's basically hitting 300 over 2 years.
I mean, he almost got 100 ribeyes twice, so
good. Imagine eating. You couldn't eat 100 ribeyes.
Oh, he did get 100. Sorry, in 2016.
Yeah, so there you go. In 93 in 2015. And
that was when his defense was also negative 16.9. Listen, he's just off. What were we talking about? I was just mentioning this on Twitter before. I was so excited to look at how bad he was.
Oh, we're just talking about free agency, and we get to
That's
talk
right.
about
Yeah.
how insane the Padres are because they're the greatest team known to men.
The main thing was that are we worried about the Indians passing over these basically nothing deals? I mean, even Derek Dietrich, who at one point, am I imagining that we wanted not like put words in your mouth, like people wanted the Indians to trade Trevor Bauer at one point to include Derek Dietrich because he looked really good? No, probably not looking at his stats now. But anyway, he was a minor league deal. He's a third baseman who can be an above average hitter. And he's a third baseman, second baseman outfielder, which is like everything the Indians need. And the Reds
Yeah,
got him for literally nothing. And the Indians didn't bother.
well, surely something. They have a union. They have to pay him.
Well, he's got a minor league contract, so
Oh, all right.
so nothing. He is worthless to the MLB Players
Never
Association.
mind. He's making $32,000 this year, prorated in 6 months, so $18,000 or whatever.
But while I also don't want to load up with veterans, I also would have taken him over like Matt Joyce. I still don't.
I didn't
He's
mind the
pretty
Matt
good.
Joyce deal too badly. Matt Joyce isn't great, but it's
I
not
mean,
like
he's fine, but I would have
Yeah.
taken Derek Dietrich over him.
Matt Joyce is the most Indians' choice player, though.
It's true.
It's like, hey, this guy could find a little lightning bottle. Man, the top 12 WAR players for the Padres last year was awful.
Where did Eric Hosmer rank in it, Mary?
11th.
Where does Eric Hosmer rank in the payment or the how much he was paid by the Padres that year?
If you could go above 1 to 0, there.
He's so bad. I hate him so much.
Oh, man.
It's mostly just when all those stupid hits that he had against the Indians is why I hate him. And
Oh yeah, no, he's a truly gutting player. That's the positive and the negative of the ground ball hitter, though. I mean, he'll just because he hits the ball so hard, and that's the thing. He's such a perfect player for 50 years ago. Like he'd be a career, 380 hitter 50 years ago because you just ground ball. No one could have known the ball would go there again. Skip, you're right. Damn.
And the worst thing
hitter.
about those Royals teams is that I know deep down that's the kind of team I like.
Oh, they were
but I just hate that it was the Royals. I don't want to just see like 20,000 home runs. I want to see those annoying like doubles and singles, and that's more fun to me. Watching players around the bases. But I also hate
death
that
by
it was the
1,000
Royals.
cuts is the ultimate kind of baseball, and if only we could bring it back. We should bring it back. Dead ball time. Turn that ball back into a big old wet sock. Mm.
I mean, is that dead? You think now? Because that does. It seems like baseball wants all the home runs, so. I don't know if that era of baseball is over.
Here's the thing, and I know we've talked about this a few times. It's just, I don't think baseball wants it. I think the home run is the most easily digestible thing and all that stuff. But it's just, and this happens with every single sport. Once you figure out the game, quote unquote, like with the Rockets and the Warriors now with 3-point, obviously having an MVP helps, but. Quote unquote boring basketball or boring baseball is just the most statistically optimal to win the most games on average. When you have this many games and your goal is to win as many of them as possible, you want to do it statistically, good. It's just boring is all. You can't like gauge for doubles up the gap and, ground balls up the middle or anything like that. So
I guess, but it's so much more fun to watch.
There's no, there's always drastic things you do, like literally banning the shift. Like you could just say all defenders have to start in these 4 positions, which I don't think is a terrible idea. I think it's a terrible idea, but I don't think it's a terrible idea.
Well, I don't like it either, but I've never got why people say like you can't. There's no possible way to enforce that. Like, yeah, there is. You just got to be this far away from a certain spot. It's not that hard.
You literally have a range you can be in. It's it's a 10-foot range, left or right. Or like the third baseman could be no more than 8 feet off the bag or whatever.
Yeah,
you can move outfielders around all you want, but I don't know. It's unenforceable. You just if they don't do it, then you take it out from them or something, or cost them a ball. I don't know how you'd actually.
I mean, you give somebody a base, right? If they shift, then
I guess you give them a base, or all right, that's fair.
But I mean, it's not I've never understood that. Like, I get it if you don't like the rule. I don't like it either. I want just let people do what they want to try to win, but it's easy to enforce. It's like super easy. I'll take that over like I don't know. What was the thing I was going for there? I don't know. I just know I hate relievers switching it out so much.
Yeah.
Since we're gonna yell at clouds here, I don't like the opener either, Merritt. Dang it! I like a guy going 7 innings.
See, I'm totally okay with if you could just pitch a different guy every inning because it reminds me of, gym class. And I always enjoyed gym class. Gym class kickball. You rotate through the pitcher or wiffle ball.
That's what
Different
I want
pitcher
in my
every
Major
inning.
League Baseball is the equivalent of gym class. That's what I'm shooting for.
Oh, I want to bring. What if you could? Ooh, here's a fun, neat idea. You get 3 pitchers in your quote unquote rotation, but not really rotation. It's an in-game rotation. Each one pitches an inning, and then a different guy pitches the second inning, and a different guy the third inning. Now, yes, this may lead to blown out elbows because of guys getting tired and things like that and resting too long. But I think it's a neat idea that I just came up with.
Oh wait, so you're switching like every third inning you
Every inning,
pitch?
but then like the guy who pitched the first inning also pitches the 4th inning
Oh
and the
god, you're just
7th
gonna
inning.
shred everybody. There's
Hell
gonna be
yeah!
so many arms flailing and death and destruction and merit in the commissioner's office just cackling.
Laughing, cackling villainously. I think it's a great idea. Great idea that no one should contact me about ever again. And I'll forget about it in 2 hours, please.
I don't think the pitch clock's going to do anything. I don't think the 3-batter minimum is going to happen. That's the ones I don't like, is where you're affecting like the rules of
Right. Yeah, that's a
the
little.
game.
So the pitch clock. I mean, I've actually read that it's a bad thing because these guys do actually need a little bit of time to, like a micro recovery in between pitches. And if you're rushing them, then you're just gonna, as with any physical activity, if you force yourself to, do it before you're ready, you're just gonna bust a whatever tendon in some manner or other. So did you want to talk about Manny Machado and Bryce Harper at all, or are we just going to not do that because
Do we want to? I mean, I was kind of hoping Bryce Harper would have signed by now, but
I know, yeah.
but there's this
really
mystery
would be
team out
helpful.
there, Merritt. I wrote about that. What if it's the old
Ooh.
Cleveland Indians?
Yes.
Because it could be. I mean, it's not, but it could be. I mean, if you sign Bryce Harper, like if you assume that Francisco Lindor is not coming back, he turned down the $100 million deal. He knows he's the best player in eternity right now, other than Mike Trout. And
He's injured, so he sucks now. You
Well,
should
there
have
you
taken that deal, idiot.
But if you consider that, then the Indians have a 3-year window with him. Why not just pay? If you can convince Bryce Harper to do it, just give him a 3-year, $120 million deal. Pay him
Ooh, I like that
crap
idea.
load short term.
Mhm.
Try to find a way to dump Jason Kipnis if you really have to, because that's like almost $20 million a year. I mean, literally, dangle any prospect you want along with him and say, take him so we can sign Bryce Harper. If that's like the line to sign Bryce Harper, I mean, give him Tristan McKenzie. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, whatever.
But
yeah.
I don't think it's going to come to that because I don't think they're going to do it. But that was my idea of get Bryce Harper here on a 3-year deal if you can. But I don't even think Bryce Harper would do that if you offered it. But if I were the Indians, I would be trying desperately to do that.
Well, I mean, if not him, why not Manny Machado too? You put him at shortstop, move Lindor to second.
Okay, that's the thing.
Or
I
you
would
just
take
sign,
Bryce Harper over Manny Machado. I know.
or you sign Machado. You tell him you'll play him at shortstop, but then don't.
That's a good thing to do to the guy you just spent $40 million a year on.
Yeah, well, whatever. He got his money, so you can shut up.
You'll be getting an email from Tony Clark soon. There will be a public statement on your.
Damn.
But what about these guys not signing, Merritt? They're not anywhere yet. They're probably going to go to the Phillies or the White Sox in Manny Machado's case. But
I tell you, man, the DC sports media is really weird about this because I think they really want him back, and they're also like, but the Rendon deal is so important. He's very underrated. And in my head, I'm like, by whom at this point? Anthony Rendon is recognized as one of the best third basemen in baseball by a large swath of people. And also, I don't think he's as good as Bryce Harper. It's very upsetting that people in the city are not more up in arms about Bryce Harper not being re-signed by a billionaire who's 92 years old, apparently, and also was given a free stadium by the city. It's very upsetting.
My favorite thing about all this has been John Heyman. He has been an all-star of the Bryce Harper rumors. It is very clear that somebody, probably just Bryce's agent, is just telling him, hey, can you say this in public for us? Because he's just constantly saying, talks are heating up between this guy. There's a team. There's another team.
No, that is literally what is happening. That is literally how this works.
They're not hiding it anymore. He doesn't need to say leaks or sources.
Yeah.
Just say Bryce Harper told me. It's okay.
Scott Boras told me this. He's doing this now. He's not, but he said he told me to say this.
And there was even one point where the Players Association, they quote retweeted John Heyman because there was a leak about Manny Machado having this huge offer, and then John Heyman corrected it. And then the Players Association quoted John Heyman. Like, clearly somebody in the Players Association, or like, they wouldn't quote retweet him if he didn't have the right information, and they knew that he had the right information. Like, it's hilariously clear now that like Heyman, I probably even like Ken Rosenthal and JP Perosi are just like all, I don't want to say mouthpieces, but they're all talking like for the agents and players with these Twitter leaks. It's really weird.
I had to change the subject slightly, but I just found out that Ted Lerner is the largest private landowner in the Washington, D.C. region. And now I'm even more upset.
Listen, man, he's out of money, Merritt. That poor guy cannot afford Bryce Harper.
He should sell his stake in Monumental Sports Entertainment, which owns the Caps, Mystics, Wizards, and Capital One Arena, and pay for Bryce Harper. Old jerk.
I am going to miss Bryce Harper in the Nats uniform. That always just fit.
I know.
But Philly's not bad either.
A lot too. I know. They have those cool light blue uniforms, the pinstripes. We were talking about this last year with what's his name going over there?
Carlos Santana. How dare you? What's his name?
I couldn't remember. I was like, oh, let's see, guitarist who plays Sweet Licks.
I think every player looks fine in a Phillies uniform. Is that a weird take? Like, there's nobody that looks weird. There's plenty of weird players in like Blue Jays, but everybody looks like they fit in a Phillies uniform.
Oh, they're sharp. Again, it's a sharp. They're simple, and yet also there's some of the fun ones because they have the cream ones, which I think are kind of cool.
No, cream is bad. But
well, I know that one's all very playful, and there's red, white, and blue on it. They have the pinstripe ones I mentioned, and the light blue ones, and there's some other ones. They're fun. It's a fun, catchy uniform. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, and everybody sort of looks right there. Like, nobody looks right in a Blue Jays uniform. Bryce Harper would look weird there. Carlos Santana would have looked weird there. But Carlos Santana, as much as weird as it was, he looked like he fit in Philadelphia. Everybody just kind of does.
I agree with you. Yeah, red's a nice color. It's a very bold red they use.
So, Mary, anything else before we hopefully get our baseball prospectus 2019's in a couple of days?
Yeah, and Ted Lerner's got to get his head out of his ass. Pay this dude. Go tell Mike Rizzo to shut up and hand him money. Classic shut up and take my money situation.
Shut up and take this other guy's money.
He also owns Chelsea Piers in Washington or in New York City. God damn.
Should I know what that is? Am I not?
It's this big beautiful like the series of piers of Chelsea on the west side of Manhattan, New York. It's got a lot of shit on it. It's very fancy and nice. He's the richest person in Maryland. Give him the money, Ted. I'm gonna go to his house. I'm gonna go to his house in Chevy Chase, Maryland, and yell at him.
We'll do that next week, Merritt. Talk to you then.
That's my take. All right.
See you then.
Bye.